Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now, let the stories begin. Today, I am so excited because I get to shine the spotlight on another incredible woman that I've had the luxury and privilege of getting to meet and know. And this is the amazing, beautiful Melinda Garvey. Melinda, so good to have you today.
Oh, it's great to be here, Holly. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm delighted and thrilled. And you have like this really cool, so I have to brag on you for a second because the name of the show is Celebration of You. So today you're the you, Melinda.
Yay. I love celebrations. Who doesn't love a party, right?
Exactly, when it's all about you.
I have a cocktail in my hand.
Well, we don't have to tell people what time we're doing this.
Well, there you go.
But it is the Celebration of You. And you have, it's an amazing, just getting to know you and what you've done. But I really want everybody to know, like, Melinda has really taken a passion in almost 14 years now. I mean, she started a media publishing company and started an incredibly successful magazine. And she is the owner of and publishes the Austin Women magazine. And that has become nationally recognized. And I just think one of the cool things too is you've got so many great accolades and you've received so many awards. But one of the ones that I think really pops out and I think is amazing is that she was recognized as one of the 9 women nationwide selected to receive the Office Depot's Businesswoman of the Year award. And I think when you think in the scope of outside of just Texas, Melinda, the work you're doing, and specifically, where we became so aligned was just the passion to empower and showcase even people that aren't getting to be on the cover of magazines. And so I guess I'm going to stop because I'd love to know what was the driving force behind starting this magazine. Love to know.
Oh, well, let's see. You want the real story, right, Holly?
Oh, we're only going real, girlfriend, real.
Well, I had a few glasses of wine. Let me tell you, that played a part. Well, it's a funny story, an interesting story, just because it's just something that I never thought would happen to me. So I was in a job. I was always in corporate jobs, was thriving there, did really well, thought that I was, loved that 401k. I'd never thought about running my own business. I don't have any entrepreneurs in my family. I didn't take an entrepreneurship class. I didn't know anything about it. So that really wasn't in my realm. But I'd had this really great career and different jobs, and I decided to move to Austin. And I had just fallen in love with the city, and I started flying back and forth for interviews. I got this amazing job on paper, I should say. And, just great money, gave me an apartment for 6 months, the whole 9 yards. Well, it ended up being literally the worst job, the worst people. I felt like I was in an alternate universe. They wanted somebody with 10 years experience, with a master's degree to run this office, all this. I thought, check. Okay, I can do this. This is going to be great. And it was just a really, just the people were very micromanaging, very, just the way they treated all their employees, the culture, it was just a terrible time. And I have to tell you that I was pretty lucky because I was already maybe 11 years into my career, 12 years maybe. And I had just had this great run, great bosses, really encouraging. I had moved up and I just hadn't had any of those snafus that often women have early on in their career that derail them. So it's a little bit of a hard pill to swallow when you're 12 years in, thinking you're kind of a badass, right? And then to be in this company where basically they treat you like you're an idiot. So fast forward to, I was just really diminished. I was only there 8 months and really it was kind of winding down. I was out with some friends, having a few glasses of wine, as you do, and really just kind of complaining and lamenting about like, how did I get here? And my self-esteem was in the toilet, which that's not something I normally have any issues with, but I just felt like, gosh, I guess I'm not very good. All that building for that 12 years of my success and feeling confident and they crumbled it so fast. So I was lamenting to some friends of mine, over these many glasses of wine. And one of my friends said, hey, I just got back from Des Moines, Iowa. And I was like, oh, okay, that's great, but this is my pity party, and we don't care about Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, wait, I love that. This is my pity party. For God's sakes, let me have it.
Exactly. It's like, why are we going to talk about Des Moines, Iowa? And she says, hey, there was this really cool magazine there called Des Moines Woman. And, you have some publishing in your background and you're smart and, nobody's talking about women in Austin. And it was in 2000, early 2002. So it was right in the tech boom here. And it was just, all the publications were men, all tech. It was when that first really big boom here in Austin. And she said, you wouldn't even know there was an intelligent woman in this city. No one talks about them. They never get written about. And I have to say, I stood there and my mouth dropped open. And remember, this is somebody like I'd never thought about starting a business. I was interviewing for other jobs at big companies. And the hair stood up on the back of my neck. And I knew in that moment that's what I was supposed to be doing. And it's just, it gives me goosebumps to think about it now, just that feeling, because I had no business doing it, but I just knew. And I was instantly passionate about it. I was like, yes, oh my gosh. I'd never been in the women's market either. It wasn't like the jobs I had were in the women's world, but instantly I was like, yes, this is my calling. This is what God put me on this earth to do. And I'm going to do it. So literally I quit my job. 2 weeks later, I had a business plan. I was rolling. 7 months later, we launched the first issue of Austin Woman.
Wow.
So, and it's just been that, in September, it'll be 14 years. So it's been a pretty wild ride.
Unbelievable. And I don't even know that story. So, okay, I have to go somewhere. So the moment that happened, and I think this is great for the listeners to know that sometimes the door opens right in front of our face when we're at some of our deepest, darkest, most rock bottom moments, right? You were right. In 8 months, your self-esteem was pretty much shot to heck in the bottom of the toilet, right? And you were like, and then it was a moment of an inspiration. And when we're so closed off to the world, I think there's that place, Melinda, that you would agree that sometimes we get so caught up in the black cloud that we can't see the bursts of sunshine. And had that moment not happened, the last 14 years of your life and all of the people that have been impacted by you going and listening to the calling and doing this would not exist. So tell us though, how do you take an idea? I mean, my God, that happened over wine. And you said, I've got the chills. I'm doing this. What did the next month look like? I mean, what do you do when you've never had an entrepreneur class and you start a business?
Well, I wrote a business plan and I'm one of those, I suppose, old school. I just really believe in writing things down, and I don't care what format you have a business plan in. It doesn't have to be the Harvard MBA style or whatever. But here's what I think is most important about a plan and writing it down, because then you keep going back and referring to it and looking at it like, what are all these pieces? Who are my competitors? How can I just made a lot of phone calls. I made connections, and I'd only lived in Austin 8 months. So it's not like I had deep roots here either. But that was sort of the fun part too, because all of a sudden I started telling people what I want to do. And they're saying, oh, you need to meet so-and-so. Oh, you need to meet so-and-so. So I got connected so fast. So, and I think that, just having that plan and really just keep reworking it, because let me tell you, there were a lot of nights I woke up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. thinking, what am I doing? I'm cashing out a 401k. I'm bootstrapping this thing. I mean, there was no VC. I didn't even know what the VC meant. I mean, nobody was going to give me a bank loan. I mean, it was crazy. And, it was that plan actually was like my little bedside partner. I'd on the floor next to my bed. And if I'd wake up in the middle of the night going, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. This is not a good idea. What am I thinking? I'd pick up that plan and I'd reread it. I go, no, I've thought this through. This is good. And this, and it was just sort of that reassurance. So whatever it is that you need to find, the people around you, I think, is your point, just about women and, kind of surrounding yourself by these really core people that are going to, champion you and support you and tell you when you're going off base too.
Yeah. So. It's like that old saying, having your own personal board of directors. It's something most of us don't think about, right? But my husband and I were just talking about it the other night. I think we think about it in the business sense, but, really, really encircling yourself with people in your personal life too that I love the word you use, champion. I like to call them balcony people, the people that are cheering for you over the balcony, right? That are always there to lift you up and pull you up versus always crush your dreams. And you have to be very careful, don't you? Because people seem And I've talked about this before, but you have to be very aware of the emotional vampires in your life because they might be sliding right along and you think they mean well, and they don't mean, I'm not saying they're out for malicious intention, but are they lifting you up? Are they encouraging you, or are they crushing your dreams? So you were very intentional about who you put in your life, and you still are.
Yes, I still am, and intentional about who I put out, and I'll give you one tiny example, which I think is really important, especially for people who are starting businesses. I had an attorney who we hired to do all the paperwork to set up the corporate stuff. And he was actually someone I had met when I moved to Austin, nice guy. And, when I first met with him, he gave me all the bare bone statistics about how many businesses fail and this, all the stuff you would expect. You have kind of the hard conversation with your attorney. I'm like, great. Yes, I know that. We had this. But then what happened is every single time I talked to him, he's like, are you sure, Melinda? Like, I don't know. You sure you want, this might fail. And finally, literally, this guy, I'm thinking, this guy's an attorney. He's smarter than me, right? He's got this degree. Maybe he's right. Maybe I shouldn't do this. And they got me kind of close to the edge where I was like, he kept putting doubt in my head. Finally, I was like, I got to get him. I fired him. And I was like, I'm sorry, I have to fire you because it's one thing, your job is to sort of outline here are the risks, and here's what you need to watch out for. But, not to be that constant voice of doom, because it can really derail you. And I seriously was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Oh.
And so instead I fired him. Yay.
Yay.
And but a lot of other people, it could have easily gone the other way, Holly. That's the scary part is I look at that and go, wow, this guy wasn't a bad guy. He was a nice guy. He was just afraid.
Yeah.
And he thought he would do me a favor, right? He thought I'm going to protect her. I'm going to protect her money. I'm going to protect her. So, it's not always even bad intentioned people. And that's sometimes even harder.
Exactly. And I think you just nailed that because he wasn't out to maliciously crush your dream. He was doing what he thought he was hired to do. And he was just so caught up in thinking I'm doing the right thing. But because this is your business, and here's what I want people to know, you have to stay true to you. And sometimes that's a lot harder than we realize because we're so good about letting other people should on us. That's the SHOULD, Melinda, right? But we should do this. And we do it to ourselves, right? We should on ourselves too. But the reality is you had to be so clear and you stayed so focused through some of those tougher times to stay, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And you had to know who to let go. I love how you said that. And I fired him. I just want people to know that you have to really, truly own your calling and your mission. And that means sometimes that's the power of knowing when to stand up for yourself. This is so powerful. I love getting to know the story because I didn't know it. A couple things I'd love to ask of you. When you think about going back to your childhood, was there any pivotal moment in your childhood, Melinda, that maybe it was just at a place that maybe you had to face a lot of adversity. Maybe there was something that when you look back, what was that pivotal moment that you think maybe has a lot to do that drives who you are today? Is there anything back there?
Well, it's interesting because I had this sort of, I guess, idyllic childhood. A great family, still close with them. We didn't have any of the weird drama. I have to say, I came from a great background. I don't, and sometimes I feel like, oh gosh, maybe I coming from adversity, maybe I'd be a better entrepreneur, maybe I'd be better. And it's interesting because I had ultimate support when I decided to do this. My family supported me. But I think that there is one thing that happened in my life that was really tragic. And my brother died when he was 26 of cancer. And we were very close. He was 2 years older than me. And although, I think about, do I attribute it to this? But I think what it did for me is it probably made me less risk adverse, just enough to open that door. Because it's not that my family's not fearful or, oh, we don't want to do anything. Well, we've never been like that, but we're, I don't know, just kind of conservative. Sure, you go out and get a job. My dad's an attorney. We just sort of had those traditional things. So I think that it opened that door just enough for me to say, you know what, if something is this important to me, I'm going to do it. So I really think that's just a piece of like that just made me open to it.
Yeah. And just knowing that every day matters, right? Like just that I think sometimes when we face things like that, it does make you rekindle the, wow, every day matters and we never know when it will be our last. And I think that has a lot to do with, I've loved, I still keep your magazine. I have it in my bookshelf, a couple of them. But this I want to take you to, I want everybody to hear that Melinda doesn't stop with Austin Magazine. Oh, no, 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 no. No, you see, once you start doing, you can't stop doing. And I think what's really driven this is that you've seen many people just gravitate to what you've done and the stories and how you celebrate people. But tell us more about what I'm loving is your newest national launch, On the Dot, and what drove that, my friend.
Yes. Well, On the Dot is a national daily newsletter for women, and it's a really quick read. So it's just kind of like a really empowering, quick read. We start out with a thought for the day, then we go to a by the numbers, which is a quote or a statistic, about what's going on with women in business or women around the world. Just that piece of knowledge that I want women to have. That's sort of the piece I want women to get fired up about and say, hey, this isn't cool. I want to do something about this. Then the next section of the newsletter is our Woman to Watch, which is sort of like a mini cover story, if you will, about an amazing woman like you, Holly, who's been featured. And then we end with an inspirational quote for the day. And it's literally a under 5 minute, 4 minutes, usually around there, read. Or what we just did to make it really accessible to everybody is we made it audible. So that's the part that's super unique, is that there really isn't, people go, what, an audible newsletter? The people have heard of audible books and the course podcasts, but it's a delivery like a newsletter. It arrives in your inbox at 6 a.m. on the dot every morning. And if you want to read it, you can read it. Or if you are putting on your makeup and in a hurry to get to work, or you're on a walk, or you're taking the kids to school, wherever you are in your life, you can just push play and you can listen to it. So I just wanted to make it super accessible to empower women and give a voice to women. So just to back up, that's what it is. And how I actually got there is when I was looking at sort of what's this next iteration, and you had mentioned early on that the Austin Woman magazine has sort of started to become nationally recognized, which sort of like this, oh, well, this is interesting. And the reason why is because the women that we were featuring on our covers that were from Austin were often better known nationally and even internationally. Yeah. And so we would start getting all this traffic from around the world. And in fact, on our website, I just got the statistics, like almost 40% of our web traffic is from outside of Texas.
Love that.
That's pretty, for an awesome one, because there are just so many interesting things. Arguably there's just some amazing people here. So that kind of got me thinking, like, what do I want to do on this national platform? And what do I think is really missing? I'm not about, I want to do something that's going to make an impact, that's going to use, my highest and best use. And that also is something that's missing in the market. And what I really felt was missing, there's some great newsletters out there for women, that they're all long form. In other words, you might get a couple lines of copy, their traditional newsletter, and then you have to click on the link and then you read the 6-page story or whatever it is. And there's some great stories there, but I'm a deep dive kind of girl. Look, I have a magazine, but I am so limited on time. I've got an 8-year-old son. I'm running around all the time trying to, on this deadline business. And what I found was missing in the market is there wasn't anything just super snackable, if you will, for women.
Love that word, snackable. Ooh, yeah, that was good.
You can just, in a bite, that bite is so rich and empowering and just like get you going. I want women to be like doing their power pose when they listen to On the Dot and like, yes, I can do this. And that's really what this is about. So it's not only to inspire the women who are listening to it, like, yes, I can do that. And I am featuring women who, most of the women, if you've never heard their name, but you listen to the story and you go, are you kidding me? They're incredible. I get goosebumps when I'm standing there recording and I'm thinking, I have to meet these people. Now they're all over the country. I can't meet them. I can meet all the ones in Austin. So now I'm like, dang it. But really just incredible women, but they're relatable. They're not the Marissa Mayer. Nothing wrong with her, but you can read about her 10 times a day if you want and pick up the Wall Street Journal. I'm trying to feature the women to give women a voice all over in all different industries, because that's what inspires, I don't want to say the regular women, because I think we're all extraordinary, but I think oftentimes we only hear about the uber famous or uber, over the top, and we can't relate to them.
Exactly.
And so then sometimes you go, oh, that's nice, but I don't have 3 nannies and I can't do that and I can't go here. I mean, whatever it is that you say that you can't do that with On the Dot.
Yeah.
The women on the Dot are just like you, and they're just like me, and they're just like every startup entrepreneur who is maybe 25, or a corporate executive who is out there and is in a man's world all the time and really just wants to connect to women. It runs the gamut, and that's what On the Dot is for. So it's that twofold. It's about giving women a voice and getting them in the media and getting their names out there so they can use that as a platform. They can send that. On the Dot everywhere, and use that as their platform. Yeah.
And I have to say that what I've loved the most about it, and I have to tell you this, Melinda, because I haven't had a chance since I was on it for you, and then I've been listening to them. I have to say what I love is the audible. So I am the person that, and I'm always cognizant of the people, speaking around the world, right? You have to be very aware of who are the visual learners, who are the audible learners, right? We all have a different way of learning. So I think what I'm loving about this is that it truly, I can click the button, I can be doing something. It's snackable. I love that word because that summed it up. And so it's not too much time, but I always feel like I can listen to it and walk away with a little bite, a nugget of love or a nugget of inspiration. And so before we wrap this up, would you please tell everybody, the listeners, how can they access that? How can they access more of you? So if you don't mind, let us know how to get more of you and get On the Dot.
Okay. You can go to onthedotwoman.com. And you just sign up. I mean, it's as easy as putting in your email address. And my only ask is if you love it, share it, because I really believe that the more women who not only hear these stories can be inspired, but we also, on our homepage of that website, we have a really robust contact us sheet that says, tell us your story. And we've started getting submissions from people all over the country. And I'm like, wow, who knew? So this is a platform for you. This is a platform. Tell us your story. We're out there, and I'm out at so many events, and I meet people all the time that are amazing. But I want this to become a resource where anybody can get on and tell us their story so that we can then share it with the world.
I love it. I love it. And that's exactly what we're doing. And my passion, celebration of you right now, right? Like it's celebrating. I wanted people to get to know you and what you're doing to fulfill a mission. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. And in wrap up, I would love to know what advice would you give to your 25-year-old self as we celebrate you and for everyone listening?
Oh my gosh, my 25-year-old self. Goodness. I think that that's a really hard question.
I know.
I was one of those old soul people, and I was always the one who was raising my hand. I'll do that. I'll learn that, with my bosses and that kind of thing. So, I think that, looking back, I always said, boy, I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. I never had an entrepreneurial bone in my body. But when I really look back, if I knew now what if I knew then, what I know now about entrepreneurship, I probably would have recognized it in myself a lot earlier and probably would have encouraged myself to, do some things or work in some other entrepreneurial ventures or just really get out of that box. I sort of put myself in this traditional, okay, I'm going to, and work your way up at the company and that kind of thing. It was a more traditional role. So I think that I would encourage myself to sort of get out of that box a little bit earlier in life.
Well, and then when you did, you're like, wow, I did it. And never imagined this was going to be the path. So thank you, Melinda.
Now, God forbid I would ever have to go find a job because I don't think anybody would hire me. So.
Wait, now that's the best part about it, right? Yeah. Once you've had your own business, it's like, oh no, I can't go do that. I know.
I am unemployable.
Yeah, totally. And that's the new tagline, by the way. I'm unemployable, right? Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you, Melinda Garvey. So appreciate you being here today and look forward to all the more On the Dot because I'm listening and I love it. Thank you, friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly, though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.